My name is Alex, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about my anxiety and my depression, and just kind of going over the process of me discovering my intense anxiety and just what's been going on lately with my life. And I just wanted to document it and put it out there just to see if anyone maybe feels the same way, or is looking for somebody to kind of help them and figure out what's going on with them. And sometimes it helps to just hear somebody say that they're going through the same thing. So hopefully by me doing this, it'll help myself to talk about it, but hopefully it will also help somebody else out there, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. So I'm gonna just kind of start from the beginning and go from there. So I've been noticing an extreme change in my personality as of about a year and a half, maybe like 2 years ago or so. It's probably been going on since before then, but I think I just took notice of it like probably about 2 years ago. When I really noticed it was I had a panic attack, and it was a very new experience for me. I've had depression since I was about 13, but this was different. This was a panic attack, and it's not anything I'd never experienced anything like it before. I was trying to get a new job, and I was really frustrated with my job that I had been working at, and was trying to make a change. And so I applied to a bunch of places, and had finally heard back from one place, and I went to go interview with them. I hadn't heard anything from them though, and it had been about 2 weeks, and I was nervous, and I just had a lot going through my mind, and I was on my way to work one day and just panic. I can't even really describe the feeling that I was going through, but I was driving. I had to pull over because I was crying so much, and I called my best friend, who helps me get through everything. I don't know where I would be without her, but she kind of talked me through it, and I was still crying, and I decided that I would try to go to work and go from there. But by the time that I was close to work, I just decided to go to urgent care because I did not feel good. And something that I've learned is once you have a panic attack, it's kind of exhausting. You have to come down from it, and it's tears just don't stop no matter what you do. Anything anyone says, just it's like a pin drop. It just affects you. Just somebody saying, "Oh, are you okay?" and tears. You can't help it. And I knew that if I went to work, it would just be really bad. So I went to urgent care. That was that. I did get the job, so I started there. I was going from working a part-time retail job to an office 9-to-5 job. So it was a big change in my daily schedule, which was I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I was driving further than I was to go to my previous job, which, again, I didn't think it would be a big deal. It ended up being a big deal. Spoiler alert. Things were going good for a while at this job. I really liked it. It was my first office job, so I didn't really know what to expect, but I enjoyed it for a while. I had a coworker who was a little strange. I was delegating tasks to him because we were supposed to be working closely anyway. You spend the time to go over things with him because he was very meticulous, and he would ask a bunch of questions. Even though you went over things with him 3 times, he would still ask the same questions. It was very frustrating. But I took the job on because I figured this would be a great opportunity for me to show that I can be a leader and I can work in management. So I did that. It became too much though. He was hard to work with. Very, very hard to work with. Eventually I had to tell my boss that I could no longer work with him. And my boss and I were very close. I would have considered us friends. But after I told her I couldn't work with him anymore, things were weird. Like, there was a tense feeling in the air. The coworker actually ended up leaving about 2 weeks after this. She started, like, snapping at me over things, and I think a normal person would be able to just take that and go, oh, she's having a bad day. But I noticed that every time she would come talk to me, I would just be tearing up. I found myself wanting to cry. And for what? I don't know. She wasn't yelling at me. Half the time, we were having a normal conversation. I would just find myself, like, starting to want to cry. And this was happening a lot, too. I would read a text message from somebody, and it would make me want to cry. I would watch a video, a happy video, and it would bring me to tears. With happiness, I guess. But I don't know that that's normal. I could be wrong. It doesn't seem right to me. And it wasn't just happiness. It was frustration, sadness, anger, everything. So that's kind of when I realized that something was not right. I had had a panic attack before, obviously. I knew that I had issues. After I had that panic attack, actually, I thought to myself, maybe I need to go to therapy. And I just never did. I've been to therapy before when I was about 13, and it worked. It worked really well for me, and I think I went for a few months and then decided, well, that worked, and I feel better now. So I started to feel better, and I didn't want to go anymore, so I stopped. So after this after I started to realize that I was getting very emotional and not really able to, like, get a grip on my feelings and my emotions, I decided that I need to fix it. I need to talk to somebody, and I need to fix it. I started to think really long and hard about what I wanted to do with my life. Because, yeah, I can go out and get another job doing the exact same thing and probably hate it. Just like I hated my last job, my job at the time. I knew I had to reflect and kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and that was not easy at all. I have no idea what I want to do. I have never really known what I want to do. Okay, my lighting's changed, so apologies. The summer from 7th to 8th grade is when I struggled with depression. Because of my grades, my parents weren't happy with me, and I didn't really know how to take that because I'd never gone through anything like that before. So, I struggled with how to feel about that, and I started to get very depressed, and that went into 8th grade, and 8th grade was worse than 7th grade, and my grades were worse than 7th grade, and I struggled. And come December, at the new job, the office job, I was sitting there, and I was sitting there thinking about my future, and thinking about what it's gonna be and what I'm gonna do, and all of a sudden I could feel myself starting to panic. Panic was setting in. And I knew as soon it was like a change in my whole being. I just felt it. And I texted my best friend and I said, I think I'm about to have a panic attack. And I wanted to kind of try and avoid it, but I went to the bathroom where I just lost it. And I was crying, and I couldn't breathe. It's weird. You're crying, and you can't stop crying. And because you can't stop crying, you can't breathe. And you kind of feel like you're gonna die. You know you're not gonna die. I don't know. I know that I'm not gonna die when it happens to me, but you feel like you might, because you can't breathe. I decided I needed to go home, so I had to go tell my boss that I was having a panic attack, which, she was incredibly nice about it and was genuinely worried, I could tell. like I said, she handled it really well. She sent me home, and I came home and I talked to my dad. I just sat down with him and told him I'm miserable. And this panic attack that I had, there's no way it's going to be the only one that happens while I'm here, because I can't stand it, and I need to get out. I need to get out for me before it just breaks me. And, we talked for like an hour, and he told me that if I wanted to leave my job to do something that I really loved, he'd have no problem with that. And I told him, I don't know. I don't have anything. So I decided to just stick with it for a while I figured out what I wanted to do. Because it didn't seem... I was going back and forth in my mind on whether or not I should just quit and work on myself, or stick it out and try and find another job and do that until I hated that, I guess. But that only lasted about a month, and then I'd been sick 2 days in a row, and then I felt really relaxed at home, and I felt re-energized, and I went to work the next day, and immediately just depression just weighed on me. There was a drastic change in how I felt, and I decided I'm not gonna deal with this anymore. My boss was getting mad at me over trivial, tiny things that just I could not deal with anymore. Maybe I overreact, but the fact of the matter is I could not handle it anymore, and I knew that. And I knew the only way to stop feeling that way quickly was to just take the job out of the picture. So I put my 2 weeks notice in. My boss took it way better than I thought that she would, that sounds kind of bad. I don't want to say that I thought she would take it badly, but that's the thing. I'm always going through worst case scenarios in my head. It's very pessimistic. Like, if I do this is something that could happen. And I rarely think of the good side. And that's what gives me anxiety to do things. I mean, half the time I'm struggling just to pick up the phone to call my boss and say, can I talk to you? That's how bad my anxiety gets to me. I had my last day on, so that was difficult. Even though I knew that I needed to move on from there, I wasn't going to stick around long anyway, even if I wasn't having anxiety. I just wasn't going anywhere with it. But right now, what I decided to do was just take this time while I'm home to, 1, go to therapy, 2, work on just being happier and doing things that make me happy, which brings me to 3, discovering hobbies, maybe picking up old hobbies, just doing things that make me happy. So far, it's been going pretty good. I'm working on learning graphic design and web design, and even if I can't turn that into something on my own, I can always take those skills to another job, maybe, hopefully. So that's something I like it. It's not something I love, but maybe I can love it. I don't know. And I need to work on being healthy, not just mentally healthy, which I'm not, I know that, but physically healthy. I want to learn how to cook so that I can make meals for myself instead of oven pizzas all the time and Hot Pockets. And, the last couple of days I've taken a walk, and yesterday I did yoga, which I haven't done in a while, which I really enjoyed. And I've been cleaning around the house. The house needs it bad. I just want to make my surroundings nicer, more organized. I need to get more organized. I started therapy. I technically started therapy. I did an intake appointment, which is just answering a bunch of questions about, what makes you anxious and things like that. Didn't get into any detail, but of course I burst into tears within 5 minutes of being there. So basically what I want to do is I just want to kind of document the process of me trying to get better, and hopefully anyone out there can tell me that they're going through the same thing, or they've gone through the same thing and they're trying to get better too. And I also want to try and share some tips on things that make me feel better and things that seem to help, and just what I'm going through every day. So for right now, I think this was good. I think it's good to talk, even if it's just kind of to myself. But yeah, so hopefully look forward to more from me, and thanks for listening. I know this is probably way too long to listen to, but thank you. Thank you anyway. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.